Hi there, I'm Dr. Richard Hum. I work in the Communication, Journalism, and Cross-Cultural Studies departments, and I wanted to share just briefly with you how I use Zoom now that we are facing this reality of teaching online. I just want to show you at kind of an everyday level how I use it as a faculty member. I try to keep it as simple as I can and not do too much, not do too much or too many fancy things with it. So let me start by sharing my screen with you. Okay, so to start with Zoom, if you're unfamiliar with it, I always just go to the UAF webpage, type in search Zoom, gives me the office link. Clearly there's more efficient ways to do this, but it's simple, it works for me. Then I hit logging in, sign in. If you've not done that before, there'll be a little bit of setup you have to do there, but it's not hard. Then you'll come to a page like this one, which is where you can manage all the meetings. I'm not going to go through all of it right now, but I will briefly go through the settings here. There's a lot of different settings, and I think that this can be a little overwhelming for people, but at just an everyday level, I don't change anything in here. In fact, I've hardly ever gone into this dialog box at all. The only thing that I would really worry about is, or think about, I wouldn't worry about anything on this. The only thing I would think about is this one down here about waiting rooms. The default is for waiting rooms to not be there. And what that means is that when somebody joins the meeting, they just hop right on and they're right in there. With waiting rooms, you'll get a little icon or a beep that lets you know that somebody's waiting to join the meeting, and then you admit them. For most classes, I don't have the waiting rooms on, but if I'm running like office hours or something like that, where I'm talking with individual students one-on-one, I'll use the waiting room so that nobody accidentally comes on while I'm talking about something personal or individual with another student. So that's the only feature I really ever change in any of these settings. Now, there's a lot of settings here, and you can get really complicated with them and play with them all you want, but you don't need to. It works just fine with all the settings on default. So that's pretty much all I do with the settings, which is not much. Try to keep it really simple. And then I'll go back to meetings here. That lists out all the meetings I have or that I have currently scheduled. The one thing to mention here is your personal meeting room. That's what I'm actually using right now to record this on. And this is for you, tied to your account. It's always there. It's perfect for like if you just, you need to just sort of on the spur of the moment, talk with a student. They always has the same link, this link right here. It'll be unique to yours, but it always has the same. So if you put that link like on your syllabus or something, it stays consistent. Students know where it is. You know how to send it out. It's always the same one. And so personal meeting rooms don't really require any scheduling. It's always there, and you can just click join. It will normally say start, but right now it says join because I'm in one right now. And so that's the personal meeting room. But if you have like a class that meets weekly or something like that, and you want to actually schedule meetings and not have them join this sort of personal room that you have, you just go to a schedule meeting. It's really straightforward. Title it, give it a little description, give it the date and the time. I'll schedule one here for 2, and I'll go back in after this and cancel it. And that's something to remember here. With the fact that everybody is going to be, or a lot of people are going to now be using Zoom, right? We want to be conscious of not overloading that network. So if we're not actually in a meeting with somebody, don't just keep a meeting running in the background, waiting for students to pop in, things like that, if you can at all help it. It's just sort of consider it to the overall robustness of the network. Okay, so, the schedule the meeting thing, schedule it. I always schedule mine for about 15 minutes before and after the length that I really want, just so that I can get in and get ready before students are about to pop in. There's more settings here that you can choose for this specific meeting. I just leave it at default. I mean, there's not much you need to change here. And then again here, you can have the option to have students enter the waiting room when they first come in. And then another one that's kind of nice, especially if you have a big class, is to mute participants upon entry, so that if they join a little late and they're in a noisy environment, like well, I guess people won't be in coffee shops, but if they're in a noisy environment, then they're quiet and they don't interrupt the class when they enter, like my phone. And so, so those are the two things I really change in the scheduling the meeting. Then save the meeting, and then it saved that meeting, and then it gives you another link here to send out to your students. I usually just copy this link and put it in my regular old, UAF Gmail and send it out to my students. Or if I'm using Blackboard for that class, I send it out through the Blackboard announcements, or I often use Google Classroom, so I'll use their their announcement tool. But this link is all that's needed for your students to get to the class. Additionally, you could copy the invitation over here, this section. Doing that copies a bunch of other information so that they could join the meeting by phone, or like H323 or something like that, which is kind of the rare circumstance. So I generally just copy the link and call it good. And that's all you have to do to schedule it. And with that, I'll stop this recording, and I'll post some more shortly on some video conference etiquette and things of that.